This is the 2027 Genesis GV90. We have been waiting for this vehicle, but it's more than we thought. It's an ultra-luxury SUV. And when you're thinking it's just another Genesis, oh no, my friends. There is technology, there is design, there is so much to see. We're going to give you a complete tour. We won't be able to take it for a test drive this time, but we will be doing that in the near future. Let's take a closer look at some impressive details, like the lighting and the coolest doors you've ever seen. The GV90 offers a lot of real estate, and Genesis has used it to create a true three-row flagship SUV. It has flat floor, and it's an all-electric architecture for now. I'm hearing there's going to be a hybrid version coming out soon, but right now, the GV90 only comes all-electric. The design is intentionally clean and beautiful, proportions and curves that are really modern and classy. This design is throughout both the inside and the outside of the vehicle. And of course, that familiar Genesis two-line lighting signature, that's there too. But these beautiful diamond lights are actually a feat of design. There is no break in the line. It is jeweled all the way around and quite spectacular. You'll also notice these gigantic 24-inch alloy wheels that ride on Michelin Primacy tires. Across the back, you will see the continuation of that Genesis two-line striping. LED lighting all the way across the back, clean Genesis lines. Everything is clean in the design of this vehicle. You're not going to see sharp edges. You're going to see a modern, polished three-row or two-row SUV because it comes many different configurations. Genesis is clearly trying to make this look like something more than just another electric SUV. This is where things get interesting. This is the regular GV90, which has doors like you'd expect. But the Neolun has the doors that are coach-like, and they open up, but not like you would think. You can open both doors or one door. The design is quite spectacular. When the doors are open, you have an enormous opening in the cabin, and that completely changes the experience of getting into the vehicle. This special design took years to develop, but the result has been a super impressive and dramatic, theatrical, shall we say, door opening. But here's something really important. The rear doors don't simply swing open like traditional coach doors. Genesis developed a dual motion hinge system where the rear door initially moves outward and then moves back and rotates. That is the secret. Genesis says it has reinforced the structure with dual steel beams, a strengthened cabin frame, and high-strength steel tubing, which allows it to have impressive strength and give it impressive stability. The standard GV90 will have conventional doors, so this particular feature is specific to the Neolun version. The standard GV90 you're going to see mostly on the streets are going to be the traditional two doors. The Neolun, which is very special and also part of that first edition package, which is going to be in high demand, will have the dramatic door opening. Inside the GV90, this is where things get super impressive. I know I'm wearing red and green. It is not Christmas time, but it could be if you own a vehicle like this. The one thing you're going to notice right away is this gigantic screen. Now the screen enlarges to the full use of the screen when the vehicle's in park. You can take third-party apps, download them, and use this gigantic screen to your advantage. There is no start-stop button on this vehicle. When you put your foot on the brake, the shifter flips over and this beautiful crystal display turns over just like the GV60. Fantastic, just beautiful use of product. This is less about filling the dashboard with screens and more things that are complicated and distractions. Instead, Genesis describes this as a living space, and you can see that it's beautiful between the crystal and the real materials of wood and leather, and just everything is exactly as it explains that it is. If it's aluminum, it is. If it's stone, yes, stone. They have a stone interior material that actually is a laminate of stone. Really, really impressive. But take a look at the technology. The normal display integrates the driving information, the navigation media into a very wide screen. When the vehicle's parked, the center screen here becomes a whole cinematic display. And instead of conventional gauges in front of you, what you get is a head-up display that is gigantic and gives you all the information you need that is right here. Now, one thing you're going to notice, where do you start this vehicle? When the vehicle is ready to go and you have the key with you, you put your foot on the brake pedal, this shifter right here slides around to the side so you have a shift on the column. You don't have the ability to start the vehicle or move it without having the key, your foot on the brake, and the shifter makes the move, and the shifter here flips over. So that'll give you all your multimedia display. So this is clearly a luxury lounge, clearly about technology, and it's modern, and it's something you've never seen before. And in this ultra luxury category, you're now head to head with Bentley and other brands. This is a super premium or an ultra luxury vehicle. One of the interesting details is that Genesis has eliminated that start-stop button. So like I said, instead put your foot on the brake. That is part of the technology. The idea is when you enter a vehicle, it powers up, the controls become alive, and you simply press the brake pedal and then everything starts to function. It's theatrical, but that's part of what this is all about. Genesis is clearly trying to create an experience every time you get into the vehicle. Inside this vehicle, this may be the real star of the vehicle, although the outside is quite unique and quite special with these doors, which I truly love. Inside, 15 chamber seats. They're heated, they're vented, they're massaged, of course, and real leather material. Not aniline leather, but you can get all the way up to Napa leather, custom colors. The material choices are quite spectacular and so bespoke that you can decide what exterior color and what interior color combinations you want. And this is my personal favorite. I love purple, but this seating is fantastic. There's full reclining seats on the second row. One of the unique things is this 180-degree seating. This has never been done before in a vehicle other than maybe an RV. And what you're getting is making it more of a luxury lounge. You can actually have a conversation. There's a table, there's refrigeration. This is executive seat configuration. Now you can also get this in a 3-row. It comes in a 2-row. So it depends if you want a bench seat, whether you want captain's chairs. All of this is available. There are different configurations. Remember, if you're going to go with the traditional 2 doors that open normally, you have the choice of the bench seat or the 3-row. In this particular configuration, it only comes with 2-row. Executive seating is an option. One of the features that I love about this car, and I saw it when I saw the concept when I was in Korea, was wood floors. You can actually get wood floors with radiant heat. So you're just heating the air about you, not coming out the vents, not the heated seats. This is a very special feature that nobody else has. You're not seeing that in Rolls-Royce, you're not seeing it in Bentley, you're not seeing it in Mercedes. No one has wood floors that are heated. And that's part of the Korean culture, and they're carrying that throughout this vehicle. And I think that is very special. And when we start seeing some of those wood samples, this car could be really, really special, and your friends will definitely be jealous. I think when it comes to the interior, not just the technology we talked about and the seats and the comfort and the materials and just everything about the design element, this has elevated Genesis to a whole new level. So while you think maybe I can afford a Bentley, you'll probably be able to afford a Genesis. Although pricing is coming, we don't have prices yet, but there's so much more to this vehicle. The powertrain and the dimensions, that's also an important factor. Genesis has gone all in on technology. The GV90 uses the new Pleos Connect infotainment system. It's based on Android Auto, and Genesis says it'll support downloadable third-party apps. There's also onboard AI assist. You can ask it what you want, and it'll get you to what you need, whether it's directions or music. And that's getting to be pretty common in a lot of vehicles. We haven't had a chance to test drive this system yet, so I'm reserving judgment on how it works and how it functions until we actually get a test drive. That'll be in the near future. Overall, the hardware is impressive. The available Bang & Olufsen Premier 3D audio system has 25 speakers and supports Dolby Atmos. There's also extensive ambient lighting throughout the cabin, and Genesis has put a lot of emphasis on keeping the cabin quiet, using thick acoustic glass and additional sound deadening materials, and inside it's like a library. It's super quiet. What's underneath? The GV90 gets a 123.5 kilowatt-hour battery. That's the largest battery Genesis uses in any of their electric vehicles. We're hoping that a hybrid version is coming soon, but my guess is it is. Genesis is estimating 310 miles of range in this 7-seat design variation. That's with a 350 kilowatt-hour fast charger. Genesis says it'll go from 10 to 80% in 22 minutes. Power comes from front and rear motors, producing a total of 657 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. That is a lot of power. GV90 also gets the same series chassis hardware, including dual electronic limited slip differential, multi-chamber air suspension for a really smooth ride, and my favorite, rear wheel steer, which is about 5 degrees of steer. What that means is getting into a parking spot, all those tight corners are going to be super easy. Also with rear wheel steer, it's just going to make driving this vehicle a lot easier. Overall, the wheelbase is 127.8 inches, and the length is about 208 inches, so this is a big vehicle. For safety, there's one very unique feature. The GV90 has 12 airbags, including Genesis describes the world's first roof airbag. Well, maybe that's because Tiger Woods had a little bit of a situation in a Genesis, and it made them think, we need to come up with a roof airbag. And I think it's a great idea. It provides additional protection for rollovers, and it also protects that glass roof. By the way, that glass roof can go fogged over or clear, and there's different stages of that. And now they have a special name for it, but without getting into the technical names, it's nice to be able to choose whether you want full lighting coming in or partial lighting and different stages of that. So here are some of my biggest questions. After getting a first look of the 2027 Genesis GV90, I think there are a few big questions that need to be answered. First, how much does it cost? That's an important question. I'm sure you'll have some comments on that. Genesis is entering a much more expensive and competitive part of the luxury market, or the ultra luxury market. And we're going to see how they succeed. I think they're going to do very well. Second, how will all of this technology work in the real world? Rotating seats, pop-up screens, new controls, AI assist, all sound impressive. With all that luxury, will it steal buyers away from the other ultra-premium brands? And third, will customers demand the coach-style doors across the lineup? Well, that would be interesting, and it certainly would change the whole mix of how Genesis is looking at what they're going to sell. The Genesis GV90 has literally given buyers everything, including bespoke choices on interior and exterior colors, plus top safety, advanced technology. The competition has never seen anything like this coming, and Genesis is putting them on notice. My first impression, the 2027 Genesis GV90 is the boldest vehicle Genesis has ever built. The first edition, or the Neolun, will have hidden B-pillars and coach doors, and particularly interesting and exciting, and I think that is a big reason people are going to be interested in this vehicle and heading to the dealership to check it out. Genesis is making a serious statement about where it believes luxury is heading. More space, more technology, more personalization, and a very different approach to what a flagship SUV can be. Well, this is a first look of the 2027 Genesis GV90. It's impressive, both inside and out. We'll be taking it for a test drive in the near future, and then we'll have a whole full drive impression. I'm Lauren Fix. Don't forget to follow us. Thanks so much for watching.